Thank you. Thanks for joining us here on Living Right with Dr. Ray. I'm Dr. Ray Guarendi. Delighted to have you with me. Wonderful audience. Thank you so much. I've been getting a lot of complaints. People are saying, Dr. Ray, you say our IQ is going to go up if we're in your audience. We've seen no evidence of this. Oh, yeah? I challenge you folks right now. After you leave here, you go watch your first Jeopardy show. I guarantee you, you'll go $100 further than you ever went. You will know Russian rivers in eastern Siberia. You never even knew that. IQ's going up. You'll be able to answer Shakespeare questions. Anyway, delighted. Boy, we got a show jam-packed. We got Catechism Wisdom, Father Larry coming in. He's going to tell you, well, I don't know if he disagrees with me or not. I hope not. I hope I agree with him and tell you how to raise children the catechism way. I like that thought. We got Dr. Josh coming in. Dr. Josh, 11 years of experience since his birth. The real child psychologist is going to tell us a little bit about how he looks at us and how we look at him. Our guest, Rose Sweet, nationally known expert on divorce as it affects Catholics. It's been a quiet topic out there a lot. Unfortunately, many more Catholics are civilly getting divorced. What are the ramifications? How about the sacraments? You will like Rose. You hear something called battered parent syndrome? Well, we're going to demonstrate what that is on our role play today. My mom and dad never struggled with making child-rearing mistakes. They didn't worry every step of the way that if they left me on the potty for 3 minutes too long, I was going to grow up to be a tattooed-faced motorcycle gang member on acid on Springer Jr. Sitting there in the middle of the group, I'm their leader, saying, I've never told this to anybody before. Is the camera on me? I was 4 years old. My mother was in the garage screaming my name along with words I couldn't understand, talking about my father's side of the family. I got to the garage. She was taking my Care Bear, throwing it underneath the truck tires, driving back and forth over it, listening to it cry, screaming, she'll never buy me anything as long as I'm alive if I can't learn to keep it where people won't trip over it. I was never the same after that. When I was 6, I wrote my first bad check. When I was 7, I counterfeited my first school lunch token. But how can you parent like that? Big black cloud hanging over you says, don't mess it up. Don't say things you shouldn't say. Don't overreact. You know part of the problem? Kids nowadays are savvy. They know if you're worried about making psychological mistakes. I picked up on this. I used to say this to my mom. Fine. You're my boss. You can make me do what you want now. When I'm 18, I'm going to do the exact opposite of everything you ever taught me. You can make me go to bed now. When I'm 18, I'm never going to bed. So what I used to do for years, I'd call her up. Mom, yeah, I'm still awake. You know what else? I got every light in the house on. Refrigerator door's wide open. I just drank straight from the milk carton. Later on, I'm going to run with the scissors. Yeah, the good scissors. Remember the good scissors? I would go home and I'd say, Ma, you still got those good scissors? They were up in a shrine glass case next to the Virgin. I'd say, Mom, you ever use them? No, but they're there if I need them. You don't cut paper with the good scissors. Remember the ones we had? Those rounded ones that were rusted shut? You touched them, you got tetanus. I tell parents, you're afraid of mistakes, you're going to parent like you're walking on eggs. Especially nowadays. You're going to have to make decisions that are so radically different from those around you. And if you're afraid of making mistakes, you're going to parent like this. Good parents parent like this. Their attitude is, if you're going to go bad places, if you're going to make bad decisions, you're going to have to go over top of me. It is not because I did this. Now, we got some good parents out here. Good parents have great questions. So, I want to hear some of these great questions. What do we have? And by the way, I set you up. Because if you ask a question, automatically that's implying I'm a good parent, right? So which good parent has a great question? Yes, young lady. Put that up there close. What's your name, please?
Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
Well, our question is that we have homeschooled our children. We have 9 children. And the third...
You know, I got this theory.
Yes.
If I ever go on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, homeschooling mothers are my lifeline because they know everything about everything. Go ahead, Kathy.
Okay. Our third of our young adult children, who's 20 now, met someone at the local college. She's still living at home. And the values that we've given her have just been undermined almost completely.
Badly, just totally jettisoned.
Right.
I mean, she's going to pick this guy's view of things as
Over
opposed to your
everything.
view of things.
Correct.
Radically so. Not a,
Yes.
well, my mom and dad don't really like him, but he's okay. He's got redeeming qualities. Okay, the only place he doesn't have a tattoo is right underneath here. Okay.
Correct.
Is she madly in love with this guy?
Yes.
Are you paying for her college?
No.
Is she living in your home rent-free?
Yes.
Then you are paying for some of her college.
Okay.
Every parent makes a decision, even with 20-year-olds. If they're doing something that is, and that's why I asked, radically opposed to everything you're trying to teach or have tried, you got a decision to make. On one hand, you say she's 20, let's hope she pulls out of this, let's hope she shows sense, let's hope that she sees what he can act like. Okay? Some parents do that. Other parents will say, you know, I am not going to sustain a lifestyle and decisions that are counter to everything I would hope and pray for my child. So therefore, the only leverage I have at this point at age 20 is money. That's all I've got. You might tell her something like, you know, if you continue to see him, we're going to hold you expenses for this, 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 and this. You're paying for your own cell phone. You can't use our car. Now, that's a radical move. Some people wouldn't want to do that, but the key to this, you have every right to do that, Kathy.
Okay.
You're not wrong in doing that. Let's take another one. You know, I've been moving this microphone. I have not dropped it once. Your name?
Hi, I'm Terry.
Hi, Terry.
Hi. I'm on Facebook and
I've seen you.
Uh-oh. And I'm friends with several of my nieces and nephews who are in high school. And I'm starting to notice that they're posting inappropriate things on some of the pages and then copying and sharing it among them. Pro-homosexual marriage, the whole gay, lesbian, transgender, et cetera, et cetera. Should I respond to any of these directly, and I think that some of their parents aren't aware of what they're posting either.
Well, you asked 2 questions. The first question is, what do I do about letting the parents know? I think if you have a relationship, a good relationship with these nieces and nephews and their parents, yeah, you let them know. Sad reality is a lot of parents are clueless, totally clueless. When they come into my office and they tell me what their kid is doing and we explore, they know 12% of what their kid is doing, even the better parents. So that's the first thing. Okay. And you don't have to do it in an accusatory way. You just simply say, hey, I got to tell you what I'm coming across here on Facebook just for your information. 2, should you actually say something to the kids? Yes. You are a moral voice of maturity. Yes. You can ask. You can say, all right, how do you defend this position? Why do you think this? Do you think it, or because pretty much everybody on Facebook does, you have to act like you do? You know, in social psychology, they say one of the biggest problems with doing surveys, polling, is that when you ask somebody about a moral question, oftentimes the results will get skewed because they're afraid to answer honestly. The culturally defined morality is so powerful that even when you're talking to a stranger on the phone, well, what do you think about abortion? Well, I can understand how some people would feel it was okay, even though this person is totally pro-life. Completely and totally, in the depths of her soul, she's pro-life, but there is that social, cultural kind of, well, I don't want them to think I'm really, really, really weird, that I'm kind of one of those Neanderthal types. Very much so. When I was in school, my teacher used to always look at us and try to find the person who looked most sleepy, the person who was dozing off, or who had a dad look on their face like, did I get batteries for the remote? And I found one, right there. Right there. Your name, sir?
Greg Frank.
Greg, come on up here. I want to use you as my role-playing parent.
Sure.
Are you a parent?
I am.
How many times?
We've been blessed with 8 children.
8 children. Got a little
Yes.
twitch right here.
That's my 4 sons.
Okay.
The daughters are princesses.
Yes, 4 sons and 4 estrogen Americans.
Absolutely. Yes.
Greg, I am out in public. I am your 14-year-old child.
Okay.
You've been taking a long time. I went with you because you asked me. You've been taking a long time. You're with your friends. You're working on something for the school or something for some committee. I'm getting impatient. I'm coming over. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Handle me.
Okay.
Dad,
Yeah.
how long is this going to take? Dad, I've been waiting here for half an hour.
We'll be with you, Ray. We're almost done here.
You said that last time. You said that the last time I came over. You said, we'll be with you. How many will be with yous are you going to give me?
We're wrapping up, Ray. It's going to be all right here. We're
Dad,
almost
it's not
done.
all right. It's not all right. Okay, all my friends have left. If I'd have known that you were going to take this long, I wouldn't have come. You didn't tell me it was going to take this long.
Just a little bit more, Ray. We'll be with you.
How much is a little bit more, Dad? Give me the keys.
Just a little bit
Give me the
more.
keys. Just give me the
You're
keys.
14, Ray. I don't think I can trust you with our keys at this point.
Now, you see what's happening here? This is what I call the battered parent syndrome. This man is being abused. He is getting talked to so disrespectfully, and what's he doing? He's singing Michael Row the Boat Ashore.
Kumbaya.
Yes, he doesn't even realize how he's being talked to. I get this in my office all the time. I'll say to my clients, do you hear how she's talking to you? I guess it is kind of disrespectful. Kinda. Why is it that we get to this point where we don't even realize how badly we're being treated? Because we've lived it. We've allowed it. Over time. Okay, now, you're the snotty kid.
Okay.
I'm the parent. Are you
right.
ready? Come at me.
Sure. Am I 14?
Yeah, well, you can be what you want.
All right. Dad, we've been at church for a long time. We really need to get going here, Dad. I only came with you because you promised me we'd get out of here.
You're not being snotty enough. Ratchet up the snot.
All right. Dad, come on. We've got to get out of here. Time is up. I got to get over. We got to watch our movie. You promised me that we'd be able to watch a movie, Dad. Come on.
But
Let's
you're
go.
embarrassing me in front of my friends, and you're making yourself look bad.
But Dad,
One more word. You're in the car, and when we get home, I'm going to decide what I'm going to do about this. I immediately picked up on the fact I'm being mistreated. I cut it short right at the front. We're not going to let this go on as I try to reason him into being sweet. Thank you, Dad.
You bet. God bless you, Dr. Ray.
This is from Lupe, California. Dr. Ray, I'm the mother of 4 children. My 3rd child is 6 years old, has been exhibiting uncontrolled rages with door slamming, throwing objects, shouting, ear-piercing screams. She says, etc. It's like, you know the style. Now here's the key line for a shrink. He is otherwise a sweet and congenial child. He has not acted out in school and always receives good conduct reports. My sister-in-law is bipolar, and I'm concerned that he may be displaying early signs of the disease. He's a strong-willed child, very strong-willed, oppositional, very oppositional child. You know, black is white, white is black, very contrary, high maintenance, very high maintenance, juncture, high maintenance, challenging child, very challenging child, high-spirited child, high activity level child, very high activity. We talked to the pediatrician, we have a difficult child. Difficult child is redundant. Half of the clients who walk in my office say this. I've got this little hellion that nobody on God's earth could raise. And then I ask, what's the school say? The younger the kid, the more likely I'm to hear, teacher doesn't see any of this. She says he's wonderful. I ask, how do you account for that? I get this. Suppose he holds it in all day? And when he gets home, he has to explode? No, I think he knows where the speed limit's 20 and where it's the Autobahn. This is the most overused description of children in modern lexicon, in my opinion. Strong-willed. Have we forgotten fallen human nature? Have we forgotten self-centeredness, sinful nature? See, this is an example of where the shrinks have kind of shifted the way we think without us even realizing. What's he supposed to cooperate? Is he supposed to get along with you? And you notice she said bipolar. Well, all he is emotional when he doesn't get his way, and only with his mom. So what we're dealing with is a situation in my office that I have to deal with all the time. Let's look at the parent. What is going on with the parent who feels that this kid is so difficult? In fact, he's telling you, I'm not difficult at all, Mom. I'm not a problem, except I challenge your authority. That's very, very common. We got more stuff coming up, lots more stuff. I'm not even emotionally peaking yet. Biorhythms aren't even in sync. We've got Josh coming up. Josh is a real child psychologist. Yeah, I got experience, but he's lived it. He's the real child psychologist. Rose Sweet. Rose Sweet is our guest. Rose is a nationally known author, seminar giver, written books, CDs, DVDs on Catholics and how we deal with civil divorce and abandonment and our own guilt and our own questions about the sacraments for those of us who are civilly divorced. What else? Well, we're going to have a senior moment. We have from the mailbag, around the country, people asking questions that have to do with seniors. Not in high school. Not in college even. And Father Larry Richards. Father Larry, insightful guy. Father Larry's going to tell us, is there child rearing advice in the catechism? That too? That too. Stay with us. I'm Dr. Ray Garendi, Living Right with Dr. Ray. Going to come back, and there's more living right. We only lived right about that much worth. Then we got about this much worth yet to come. Stay there.
Get your focus off of over there and get it. This is how we do it in this home. This is what our church teaches. This is what our family raises to do. This is how we're doing it.
The church has always been very clear that we're created in God's image and likeness. We are good. But though we are good, we still have concupiscence. You remember what concupiscence is?
Welcome back to Living Right with Dr. Ray. This is the guest segment of the program. I've had Rose on this program before, but I wanted her back, and I think many of you did. Rose is, I'm going to say an expert, Rose. I'm going to use the word expert, and I'm not even going to put it in quotes. Rose Sweet is an expert on marriage, annulments, stepchildren, and tragically, divorce. So, Rose, I got to pick up where we left off a while back, but there are so many misconceptions surrounding marriage, step parenting. Let me give you one as a shrink. I had a question on a show here, Living Right with Dr. Ray, where the gentleman said, my wife and I are not on the same page, very clearly. She's raising him that way, I'm raising him this way. Now, when he referred to her as his wife, they were civilly divorced. She became a Disney parent. She became a permissive parent. She became a parent frightened that the children won't like her, and they'll leave and they'll go stay with Dad. How common is that?
Oh, it's so common. You know, we lost our spouse, and now we don't want to lose our kids, and so we'll do anything to keep their love and affection and their approval even.
Desperate.
So, and this is moms, and it's not just Disneyland dads, it's Disneyland moms as well. And maybe they don't give things, but here's what they do. They, okay, make your bed, kids, or do the dishes, or do this, or what? And they don't do it. Why? I better not give out discipline to my children because that would make them mad, and then they wouldn't like me, and they'd want to go be with Dad and his new girlfriend, and she's skinnier than I am.
What about single parent guilt? The parent who feels like, okay, I failed, life has ripped them off, I can't ask them to dry the dishes either. They've already got enough on their plate.
We can really set our kids up after a divorce, not to even go through the trauma, but get to spoiled on top of that. We don't want them to do anything difficult at all because, gosh, then they would be upset. They're already so wounded. So it's like going to the hospital. Let's just keep our patients in bed and never get them up and never walk them around and never send them home because that would be too hard. I mean, they've been hurt. So that's what we don't even realize we're doing it.
When does it dawn on a parent, either let's take the permissive one, the lax one, the slack one. When does it dawn on him or her that this wasn't a good thing to do for my relationship with these kids?
When they're about 19 years old and they're calling from the city jail and it's the third time and their dad wants nothing to do with them and you're at your wit's end too, but you can't do it because you're the mom.
What do many parents do when you get to be around 14, 15, 16 as a kid? And they've been a Disney parent since the kid was 3. The child is now pretty ugly to live with, 13, 14, 15. What's their general reaction then?
Oh no, what have I done? Because most parents are really honest when it gets to that point. What should I have done? Is it too late?
Go live with your father, go live with your mother, I can't handle you.
That's it. Or then they sink into, the parent goes into depression saying, if only somebody would have told me. But chances are somebody was telling them.
Yeah, I've had hundreds of clients like that where I've tried to tell them, and you can't lift over the emotional resistance. You can give them every reason in the world that they should be stronger parents. Their emotions are simply blocking them. There's no way they can get past the emotions.
So send them to Dad or wash your hands of them somehow.
There's a lot of that.
Right.
What can the stronger parent, the more reliable parent, the more faithful parent do in situations where there's a split household and either on weekends they go to Disney World or during the whole week they go to Disney World, then they got to come here and sit with mom and dad, new mom and dad, who go to church and who have dinner and don't let them have the cell phone at the table?
Well, here's what I did. You know, our church teaches that we look to Christ to show us how to be humans at the highest level. How did he deal with people? He talked to them. He asked them questions.
Yeah, but he was God. He knew what to say.
He was God and man, true man. And he shows us the way. So you sit your kids down and you say, okay, you get all that at mom's or dad's. What do you think that's doing to you? Just talk to your kids. You can start at an early age. This works. This works,
Yeah, right,
Dr.
Mom.
Ray.
Yeah, right, Mom.
Yes, it does. And you know what? You roll your eyes, but you heard it. And you engage. And you bring your kids into it. And you know, and you move them through it. It takes a long time.
You know why I think it works, Rose?
Why?
I think it works because you're basically coming clean. You're essentially saying, I know what's going on here. I'm not going to try to duck it. I know what it's like over there. This is the way I do it here. What about the kid who says, 12, 13, 14, I'm going to live with mom. I'm going to live with mom. Or I'm going to live with dad. I can choose. I can choose what I want. The court will listen to me. I can go. What then?
Not the court where you live, baby. If you're under my roof, let's get your dad on the phone if you have that working relationship. Sometimes, you know, you said it in one of your earlier shows, every kid has a different temperament. And you have to respond to your kids based on their temperament. Some you just go, you laugh at them and that's fine. They just wanted to say it out loud and have you listen to them. Some really want to walk out the door and go. Some you have to let go, and some you have to make sure they don't go.
I got kids that basically that chair could raise them. And I got others, I got to fire a bazooka over their head to let them know I'm still in charge here. And these kids go, what was that? Felt like a bazooka shell.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know what I see a lot from the clients that will come in? They will attempt to compete. They will attempt to compromise their standards so that the gap between the Disney parent who's this permissive and the traditional parent is closed. Okay, I'm going to come up. I don't want you to have a cell phone, but your father gave you a cell phone when you were 9. All right, you're 13 now, and I'm still not giving you a cell phone. And if we lived in a dual parent home, you wouldn't get a cell phone. But here's what happens. It's, okay, I'm going to compromise. I'll let you go to that concert. I'll let you see that guy. All right, you got B's and C's. I know you're an A student, but I don't want to fight with you over homework. And what tends to happen is there's this compromising pull. I tell parents, don't do that. You will lose.
Well, here's another thing, too. Don't say, I know over there they do this and over there do that. You know, get your focus off of over there and get it. This is how we do it in this home. This is what our church teaches. This is what our family raises to do. This is how we're doing it. With a nice big smile or whatever you got to do. But every time you talk about that other home, you're bringing the divorce back into the situation. You've got to stop doing that.
Let it go.
Mm-hmm. Let it go. You can do it.
I will tell my clients, there's a certain percentage of kids who, as they get older, either because their life starts to unravel because they were raised poorly and erratically and permissively, or they start to see that a permissive parent, a lax parent, a doling out parent, tends to be not a reliable parent. Cannot tell you how many of my clients have said to me that their 18-year-old son now realizes that dad doesn't show up half the time. And because dad doesn't show up, mom's the one who shows up. The she-witch, the one they've always thought was the one that was way, way too strict, is the one they can count on.
The truth comes out.
Yeah, reality
the truth
wins.
Comes out. It does. It does. The truth is revealed. Eventually.
I guess the most powerful message we would have is don't compromise who you are. Don't compete. You be who you are. By the grace of God, you let the chips fall where they may, because in fact, if you try to adjust yourself to fit this person's, you're just going to go downward. And it doesn't work. And what ends up happening is that you still have the struggle in the relationship with the kids, and you also sacrificed who you were. Rose, I cannot thank you enough for coming in.
Thanks.
You are a wealth of experience. We could talk for a long, long time. Keep up the good work. God bless you on that stuff. And I just want to say the stuff that I work with you on, try to maybe sell a little more of that. You know,
The DVD series where you cut up and tell jokes and act like the funny guy?
Yeah, that
okay,
one.
that one. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
do that.
I'm the fluff.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
We've heard from the big people. We got the little people coming up. They always told me, learn from other psychologists. Get their opinion. I said, well, how do I know if they're a real child psychologist or not? Let's see. When was the last time you were in big trouble? Been so long ago you can't remember.
Not really.
Whoa. I'll tell you, you make me want to go home and just punish my kids. You haven't been in big trouble for years?
Probably not.
Man, I'll tell you what. The interview's over. Well, okay. When you do get in little trouble, what's the main stuff you get in trouble for? What do you do?
I don't know, lie and just the basic stuff.
Lie, cheat, and steal. You know, the basic stuff. I had a priest tell me one time that he said the number one thing that he heard in confession from kids, number one, he says, I lie. Can your mom or your dad tell when you lie?
Probably not.
So they can't see it, huh? I mean, are you that good that you just kind of say it and they believe you, or do they look at you and go, no, Josh, that's not the way it is?
Well, they act like they believe me, but I don't know.
They act like they believe you, but then they punish you anyway?
Yeah.
Well, they probably didn't believe you then. What's the best thing your mom and dad do to show you they love you?
I don't know.
You don't even know if they love you, right? Who knows? You're just kind of sitting there in their house, eating their food, sleeping under their blankets, using their electricity. Do they love you? I don't know. I guess they've got two older ones. They love them. I'm just kind of hanging around here like a cat. If I asked them, I say, Mom, you love Josh? What would she say?
Yes.
She'd say yes. Okay. Now, how can you tell when they're really disappointed in you? You've done something and they're hurt. They feel bad that you did that. How can you tell?
Well, they don't talk to me as much and they just seem sad and stuff.
Do you go to them and you say, how do you try to make it right?
Just if I did something wrong, I would say I'm sorry and stuff, and yeah.
Okay. Are there times when you think you didn't do something wrong and they think you did?
Yeah.
Do you still apologize?
Yeah.
Why? You didn't do anything wrong.
Well, 'cause if they think that it is wrong, then it probably is.
Okay, so you trust them because they're the big people, they're the grown-ups.
Yeah.
Well, we got two possibilities. One is that Josh, like many children, didn't think he did anything wrong because he has a different sense of wrong than his parents do. The other possibility, and I hesitate to call it a possibility because it's probably got a 0.0000001 chance of being true, is that in fact he never does anything wrong. Notice that? Notice how kids assess whether they do something wrong on their own conditions. Battered parent syndrome. As I was talking to my father here and verbally slapping him all over the place, if someone would have stopped the tape and said, "Child, are you being disrespectful?" No, I'm not. You see, so for a kid to admit, yeah, okay, I did something wrong, it might not be anywhere near the same standards as the parent, but Josh seemed pretty innocent, didn't he? You've heard my thoughts on Josh. What are your thoughts? Yes, sir, your name.
Fred,
Hi, Fred.
my question is, how do you bring about reconciliation in a family? Like with Josh, when he doesn't see that he did anything wrong. How do you do that?
You just go, "I'm sorry. I thought you did something wrong. Okay, you're right." No. What I would suggest is this. It's kind of irrelevant whether they think they did something wrong or not. Conscience forms over time, over long periods of time. Don't you know a lot of adults who still need a lot more conscience formation? I know I do. So as a result, you hold them accountable, and you basically, in so many words, say, whether you think you were wrong or not, it was wrong. So you're kind of wiping out relativism here. All right? Now, you may say that 175 times a year to this child. Over time, they do most internalize it and realize that is wrong. But 175 times ago, it was, what? What? Have you noticed that? Yes, you have a question here, young lady? Sure.
What do you do when they just say what do you do when you just say I'm defending myself? I'm defending my point of view, and
Don't
you
you
need to
love
listen.
it? Yeah. Well, they're going to defend themselves endlessly. Here's the question. Not that they're defending themselves. How long are you going to let them defend themselves? When a child goes over the same turf on and on and on, that's a clear sign he's really not defending himself. He wants to change your mind. Of course, if he were truly defending himself, at some point you'd think he'd say, well, we'll just have to agree to disagree, Mom. I feel you've listened patiently to me defending myself, and I recognize that because you are the adult, you don't really see what I'm saying, but I can live with that. When we come back, Father Larry Richards is going to give us some good catechism wisdom on how to raise a child according to the precepts of our precious church. And I'm along listening to him and getting wisdom to use for future talks. I like that. This is Dr. Ray. Stay right there. Be right back.
I think it's never either or, it's both and. That we have a tendency to sin, we have this selfish part of us, but then inside of us, as we talked about before, that there's that natural law that calls us to be people of love.
I became a serious Catholic when I was 38. My children were 13, 9, and 6. I lost so many years, and how do I get them back? Who has the true and everlasting wisdom about living right? The Catholic Church, as founded by Jesus Christ some 2,000 years ago? The Catechism? Or modern secular ideas, oftentimes spearheaded by modern psychology? For Catechism Wisdom, I'm Dr. Ray. As always with me, Father Larry Richards, pastor of St. Joseph's Church, Bread of Life Community in Erie, Pennsylvania. Father, let me read to you what the Catechism says about the nature of humans.
Please, Dr. Ray.
Thank you. This is section 1707. Man is divided in himself. Man abused his freedom at the very beginning of history. He succumbed to temptation and did what was evil. He still desires the good, but he is now inclined to evil and subject to error.
Really? Error? Us?
Modern child development theory says that children basically want to cooperate. That is why we don't really need to be all that strong in disciplining a child. Use a sticker system, set up a win-win scenario, use I messages instead of you messages, and the child will say, "Oh, Father, thank you for pointing out the good to me. I will most naturally go in that direction." Are you telling me that the Catholic Church says children are bad?
Of course not. The church has always been very clear that we're created in God's image and likeness. We are good. But though we are good, we still have concupiscence. You remember what concupiscence is?
The will toward doing...
Yeah, it's man's tendency to sin. Yeah, you got a doctorate in psychology, not theology. But anyway, concupiscence means that we have that tendency within us, even though we've been redeemed and even though that we still have that desire inside of us. And so part of what it is we surrender the grace of God. And so that God can sit there and fix that and put it in the right direction. And so that's something we need to do every day. Now, kids, of course, who haven't learned that, we have to help form them in their conscience.
We have to be
and
strong.
Be very
because
strong.
Their bent is away from that.
But it's a strength in love. And so, like, again, everything like once when I was a kid, my dad yelled at me about something. I'll never forget I had to do it. And then he looked at me and he hugged me and he says, Larry, I love you very much, but I have to discipline you. That's love. That he loved me enough to challenge me. He loved me enough to discipline me.
Father Richard Newhouse.
God rest him.
Yes, what a brilliant man. He said once that anybody looking at human history would have to say something has gone terribly wrong.
Absolutely.
Looking at it objectively, G.K. Chesterton said about the only real piece of evidence against Christianity is Christians. Now,
Yeah, exactly.
this whole idea that we naturally want to cooperate. I mean, I was taught that in grad school.
Sure.
That children and adults naturally want to get along, naturally are not self-seeking or self-centered or self-absorbed. And you have it sounds kind of harsh.
Yeah, it is.
For the church to say, no, that isn't naturally the way we want to do it.
I think it's never either or, it's both and. That we have a tendency to sin, we have this selfish part of us, but then inside of us, as we talked about before, that there's that natural law that calls us to be people of love. And so as the church says in the Catechism, there's this struggle inside of us, huh?
Always there?
It's always there until we die. And the only thing that deals with that struggle is surrender. That when we surrender our hearts and our lives to the will of God, and we say, God, you can see tomorrow, I don't. You know all things, I don't. Lord, I'm handing over control to you.
That's bad for my self-image.
It's
for me,
great for your self-image.
For me to have to say, something's wrong with me.
Exactly.
I'm not naturally bent toward the good.
Sure. And I think everybody, I've never met anyone who's always bent to the good. Have you? Besides you, of course,
My
Doctor.
dear sainted mother.
Well, of course. Yeah, right. But the reality, we all have that inside of us, that tendency. And so the part of being a man and part of being a woman is to learn to control and discipline ourselves, huh?
And that it isn't a battering of our self-image to recognize that will always be part of us until the day we rest.
Absolutely. But also to think about the way we eat. If we just go and give in to all our desires, then we become people that overweight and it kills us in different things. But when we learn to eat, but to discipline the way we eat, to eat well, to eat the way God created us to be, then we become more healthy. It's the same in the moral life, same in the spiritual life, same in living everyday life. That we have this tendency inside of us, but we have to learn discipline. We have to learn surrender. And then we can grow and be all that God wants us to be.
Even psychology says, live according to reality and you will live better. If the reality is that we are bent toward the self, bent inward, and we recognize it, as Father Larry says, with God's grace, we can grapple with it and ultimately conquer it. For Catechism Wisdom, I'm Dr. Ray, as always, with my dear friend, Father Larry Richards. I got mixed feelings about doing interviews with Father Larry. On one hand, I learned so much from him. On the other hand, I feel like I'm the spiritual before picture. You know? You see the pervasiveness of the idea, even among Christians. Many of my clients are Christians, devout Christians. And they say things to reveal that they have been pulled into the mindset of children are naturally good. They'll say things like this. He doesn't listen. He just doesn't listen. Implication? Well, he should be reasonable. I should be able to explain this to him or tell him, yes, do this, no, don't do that, and he'll listen. But you see, our frustration there comes out of a wrong premise, that he should listen. Children don't listen naturally. They have to be taught to listen. Earlier, we talked about strong-willed children. Well, strong-willed is kind of a biblical description. If you look at it, stiff-necked, In Scripture, people are called that. We're strong-willed. So if all of us are strong-willed, then we're not strong-willed. We're normal-willed. You can't have 82% of people being strong-willed. That means they're normal-willed. Father Larry provokes all kinds of thoughts from people. He really does. I can sit up there and pontificate forever. I don't learn anything by what I say. I already pretty much know what I'm going to say. But I do learn a lot by what you have to say. I want to hear what you have to say. Yes, ma'am. Your name?
Fran.
Hi, Fran.
Hi, Dr. Ray. I have a question about discipline and sibling rivalry because I notice our grandchildren are really good kids, but at night when the doors are closed, the two in the bedroom, you can hear them being mean and talking and stirring each other up. How much leeway do you give them, knowing that they're good kids, but yet you hear this?
Fran, you said two things, and I'm not sure they fit together.
Okay.
They're really good kids, and they can be mean to each other. Well, they're probably not really good kids in the sense of they're really valuable kids, made in the image of God, but probably not really good in the sense of behavior. So they have the potential for a lot of bad stuff. And you couple potential with opportunity. My brother is in the room with me. Well, I got to do what comes naturally. So as a result, two things. One, you look at it as to be expected. Two, you got to deal with it. You got to deal with it. You can't mistreat a sibling. A sibling is another human being. Well, part of the time. And so as a result, we parents, and again, here's psychology's influence again, which is, well, it's normal for children to mistreat each other. So what? Normal doesn't mean right. If every child in the world mistreats their sibling, so what? It's meaningless. The good parent says, I can't let you do that. Now, will that foster a good relationship? Over time. You see, because if I'm going to have a good relationship with you, the first thing I got to do is stop mistreating you. That's the very first thing. If you're my wife, and I yell at you and I scold you, and then I say, hey, let's go out to dinner and just have a nice evening together, she's not going to want to go. Why? Because I mistreat her. I got to stop mistreating her so she can heal. Senior moment, we call it. Dr. Ray, this is from Juanita in Arizona. Dr. Ray, I love this, she goes, problem. 2 adult children, ages 31, 25, now have children of their own. My adult children aren't being advocates for their children, who are now experiencing some of the same problems they did in school. And I feel like I'm reliving all over again the pain of raising my 2 children. How do I separate myself from feeling the need to somehow make it right for my grandchildren the second time around? You see, I call this grandparent compensation. I have doubts about the way I raise my kids. And nobody could doubt my doubts because, look, they're not doing very good, and I'm the main factor, at least as I have decided. What's my only chance to make it right? Go around with the grandkids, make sure I get the grandkids right. But there's a couple problems there. One, you don't have main influence over those grandkids. All right, you are not the main influence anymore. 2, that's why we have things like confession. Because, see, the first time through something, we make a lot of mistakes, and there's no way around it, especially if you come to the faith later in life. Can't tell you how many folks have come to me and said, I became a serious Catholic when I was 38. My children were 13, 9, and 6. I lost so many years, and how do I get them back? You go from here. You can't look back and say, I blew it. No, you look back with gratitude and say, I'm glad I discovered what I did when I did. And I think with this grandparent, she's got to get over the guilt, or you know what's going to happen? She's going to push her adult kids away. They're going to see that she's driven to make it right. And she won't be able to exercise proper self-restraint in giving her opinions and in stepping in. And adult children who are not raising the kids that way tend to react like, Mom, back off. Mom, you don't back off, I back off. I have a letter. It's not a senior moment. It's more of a freshman moment. I've got a letter that I've been wanting to get to. It's been in the stack. We get way, way too many email that we can handle. It's from Jackie. I have a 10-year-old daughter who says she feels called to be a nun. She says she wants to go to college first to become a pro-life lawyer. I don't know what to tell her. She's only 10 after all, and may change her mind in the future. But if she does have a real calling to become a nun, how do I encourage her? Or do I just say, oh, that's nice, honey, that's good? How soon should a parent start supporting their children's call in life? Some of you have children who played Mass, wore a towel on their head as a habit when they were 7 years old, and you're thinking, yeah, all right, I got a religious vocation. This is cool because if I get a priest for a son, all those baptisms, I get partial credit. It's like 2% credit. You know as well as I do, God's calling has to take place for most people over time. Over time. Mom says, what do I do? Well, the first thing you do is you don't throw up obstacles. Many parents throw up obstacles. Well, are you sure that's what you want to do, honey? Why don't you go to college first? You know, there's a lot of things you could do. You know, you're only 10 years old, and, you know, you got to think about that. You'll change your mind many times before then. No, don't do that. Respect the kid. Say, honey, that's a beautiful idea. That's a beautiful idea. And as you get older, if God keeps calling you, I would be so happy for you. I think that would be wonderful. Let them know that you're there every step of the way. You're going to support their early life callings, early life questions. But you're not going to sit there and go, boy, that's great. Oh, it's so wonderful. We're going to have a nun in our family. Isn't that cool? That's so cool. Now, you're going to act right now, aren't you? I mean, you're not going to embarrass the whole family, are you? No. It's like, honey, that's great. That's wonderful. Hey, you get older, your love for God keeps growing. God says, I'd like you to be called to religious life. I would be right there beside you. Well, gotta go. Once again, it has been a delight. I want to do something that I've done on other shows. No, you are sheep. This is me to you. Thank you. You have made the show easy, wonderful. You asked great questions. Thank you so much. To recap, Father Larry says, look out. You got to keep in mind the very essence of our behavioral nature. It isn't bent toward wanting to do naturally good. It's bent the other way. We got to reshape ourselves along with a lot of help in a direction. Rose told us a lot of conflicts with Catholics who have gone through civil divorce. But the good news is there are ways out of those conflicts. And battered parent syndrome. Watch it. It'll make you put up with stuff you shouldn't put up with, not for your sake or the child's sake. I'm Dr. Ray Guarendi, Living Right with Dr. Ray, coming to a close. But once again, thank you so much. Walk with God, and if you got kids, hold them tight by the hand. If you got older ones living in your basement, well, maybe you ought to give them a hand up the steps. Bye. Next time on Living Right with Dr. Ray, go, get, do, have. How much stimulation is too much stimulation for our kids? What effect? Trapper Jack, Phil Keller, widely popular morning radio host, infuses his Catholic faith into the secular world, redefining family. Be there with us.